Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session, Smart Paragraphs, a personalization engine for Nestle. My name is Pierina. I'm co-hosting this session. And yeah, I'll let Ashley and Lara start their presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Purina.
Thank you, Purina. So thank you everyone for joining today and for picking our session. I'm representing Nestle, more specifically Nestle Waters, and I will co-present the session with Ashley that is here today with me, as you can see the screen. The trend topic that we're going to cover is smart paragraphs and the personalization engine solution that we provide for Nestle brands. So my name is Laura Fernandez, as you can see in the screen. I'm a web coordinator, project manager / program manager for Nestlé Waters Gaia. And I have a curiosity to share with you. I'm a coffee lover and I have more than 3 ways to make coffee at home. And in this COVID situation, it really was a support for me.
And hello, I'm Ashley Hazel. I'm head of digital technology for Hogarth Worldwide. And conversely to Lara, I only have the one way to make coffee at home, but I don't drink coffee anyway. Back over to you, Lara.
So I'm going to initially take you through the background and the context about Nestle Waters and the Drupal masterization program that we set in place. And then I will hand over to Ashley that will take you through the path we took to release the solution, the personalization engine. So as you can see in the screen, we branded the Nestle Waters web program as Gaia. And the program emerged to provide a structure to meet Nestle standards and optimize website releases. We support 52 water brands in 41 countries, and that are mainly local business, where 44% of media investments is online. So they need a stable platform and mature. What we were aimed to do was be time saving, cost efficient, and provide a technical structure. For that was set and define a central governance team based in Nestle Waters Global. And we had a mindset and we work in one team approach. So we have a single agency doing development and technical support, that is Hogarth Agency, that is co-presented today here with me. On top of the central governance, we take the approach of a masterization. So for provide a technical high quality without blocking flexibility, we have a master code base for Nestle Waters websites. And that means that all branding websites share one code base and same technical platform, that is Drupal. On top of the master code base, we also follow a component approach. And for that, we create a unique space for designers and creative agencies, what we call a library or a component repository. We also brand it. It is called Erebor. It has a lot of beautiful message behind it that I will not export today, but we can do it in another session. And really, it was a key success because we provide guidance to agencies, creative agencies in the initial phase of the project. So if they need any support on wireframe production, they can always come here and see the specifications to produce the wireframes. This was also a tool to promote the modular development. So what do we think that was the benefits of having this program launch on the Nestle Waters environment? Was in fact a benefit for the business, because for now we already released 65 websites and we achieve a quite mature platform based on the approach that we review, masterization, component approach, and also Drupal-based content management solution. And that make us face new challenges and revise the approach and the ways of working. So from an initial top-down approach to a more bottom-up, and including other teams, externals, internals on the decision-making process. So the way that we found to include all these cross knowledges on the decision-making process was learn, listen and learn. So we work with the brands and understood the needs. we collect and map. So we identify the solutions that were able to answer to that need, that in this case was the personalization engine, and the need was more related to personalization, user experience, engagement on site. And we engage and transform, working with internal teams in Nestlé and also external agencies, as Hoover, of course, in order to deliver the solution. So Ashley, now I will leave the stage for you to take us through the path.
Sorry, we have to have someone that's on mute, right? Thank you very much, Laura. Okay, so we all know personalization is a journey, but it's not always clear that personalization is only as good as your data. We find it best to describe this journey in the form of a maturity matrix. In the walk phase, we have the easily accessible data sources. So things like your geographic location, what type of device the user is coming from, and also things we can track like campaign URLs or visitor frequency. Moving into the run phase, we begin to apply some logic to that data that we have already. So we know that someone's been on the site before, but what pages have they been to, and in what order have they visited them, and such like. And the last phase of the matrix, fly, where we begin to interact with external data sources such as CRM and mail systems. Why does any of this matter? Well, studies have shown that 75% of customers will engage better and convert better if you're recognizing them by name or showing that you know something about their purchasing history and showing them relevant content around that. So before you start a journey, you need to understand the landscape. And through Gaia's innovation workstream, we participate in product committees and ideation sessions where brands and markets were showing the same need, personalization. But personalization that worked with what they already had, with existing site architecture that could be fast to market and scale whilst being flexible enough to work with the local CRM maturity, because personalization is only as good as your data. And importantly, something that was familiar and easy to use, something with a familiar UI. As Laura has already described, the Gaia masterization program is component-based. And by components, we're really referring to paragraphs. So when you begin to look at the Drupal ecosystem around personalization, what we find is that there was smart content blocks, a system for managing blocks, but not for paragraphs, which seems to be very much the space that most sites are in at this time. Obviously, there's a bit of an evolution to blocks with Layout Builder, but we were looking for something that would work with paragraphs. We also speak to Nestlé's global marketing sales and e-business Drupal program called Web CMS. Apologies, Web CMS, who are a really broad team with a much broader customer base and customer need. And they had also been looking at this. In fact, they were the ones that drew our attention to smart content when we started engaging with them around this topic. But what was really interesting to understand is that they were also looking for an entry-level solution, and they were looking at a number of ways of getting there, whether you would build something from scratch or repurpose something that was already in the market. So with all of this information, all of this feed-in from the different stakeholders, we were able to develop a feature list and backlog that would ultimately become smart content paragraphs, which is what we're here to talk to you about today. As we went through that discovery phase, we did do some initial concepts as we were doing those ideations. And here on the left, you can see a segmentation system. We identified very early on that we were looking for a reusable segmentation system, not something that you manage on a variation by variation level. And then on the right, we have the original concepts for our smart content paragraph, this being a paragraph wrapper that would allow you to work with existing paragraphs, but also connect the interaction between segments and the paragraphs themselves. So this was the ideation, and this is what we ended up with. We have smart content segments that was already existing as part of this smart content ecosystem, and rather fortunately, very similar to what we had in our ideation creation. And we have the almost final smart paragraph shown there, with which you'll note has a default option and then variation options. You will see through this presentation at certain points that we have PE variation, and that is because it was originally called Personalization Engine before we converted to smart paragraphs. So what you see here is that we have a default section for what will be shown by default, and then the ability to add variations and to add content to those variations. What does all this look like in practice? Well, let's take an extremely quick run through of what it does look like in practice as we go through a smart content paragraphs demo. This looks like a video, but actually I work really fast and this is totally live, honest. So here we have your generic journey. You come to a homepage. We have banners about all of the flavors that are available on Perrier. A user visiting something like the peach flavor, when they return to the homepage, they're still seeing those generic banners that relate to all of the flavors available. With personalization enabled, we'd be looking to have a slightly adapted experience, where here we go to the peach flavor, and returning to the homepage, we're going to deep dive into content that is more related to that flavor that the users visited. To do this, you install our modules. You go to structure, and to smart segments, where you're able to manage your segments. Segments are super simple. You give them a name and you add some conditions. As you can see here, there's some default conditions that fit into that run phase. But the really interesting ones actually are segment and group. You're able to use segments you've created before as rules in your new segment, or to group rules together to create a really dynamic systems. Very simply, for the example we're showing, we're going to look at if someone has visited a page, and in this case, the peach flavor, using autocomplete. And there we have our segment created in just a couple of clicks. Now to use it, we go to content, and we have a demo landing page here. So if we edit that page and add the smart content component, PE from the original one there, and the first thing we have to do is to add that default content, the default experience we want someone to have when they come to the page. So as per the examples we've just seen, generic hero banner with content around all of the flavors. The next step then is to tie in our segmentation and to start using those rules. So under the variations field set, we're able to select from one of the segments that's available, in this case, our peach flavor one, and begin to add reactions. And reactions are the content that you want to show when that segment is matched. You can add as many as you want. You can add none. You can add maybe something that is a product listing, or just completely change up your content. In this case, we're adding the same hero banner but with peach flavor specific content. There is the option also to add multiple variations, and if the user matches more than one, it will use the weighting system in Drupal to figure out which one to show. It will only ever show one reaction. So here we are. We are on that landing page demo, as you can see from the URL, and we have the default content. And when we go to our peach page and browse back to our landing page demo, we should, fingers crossed, see our peach content. Look at that, an on-the-fly demo that totally wasn't videoed earlier. That worked just really nicely. Awesome. So with all that in mind, we come back to our matrix. And what we can see there from those options that are available in smart content segments by default is that we answer all of the walk phase. In fact, we just make it into the run phase slightly. I suppose you could say we make it into a slow jog. If your site has user login, though, you're able to extend this very easily to really accelerate yourself into that runs phase even further. And then, of course, if your site has reached that level of maturity where you have CRM, then with CRM, it's very simple to write plugins to connect that data into smart segments, and you're able at that point to really blossom and be as personalized as possible, and really begin to collect data that powers you moving to a future system, such as Acquia Lift, which I think is now Acquia Personalization. These are not new concepts. If you've looked at any of those commercial options before, you'll have seen matrices like this. This isn't something that we've invented here, but you can see that smart content answers the need for this to get you up and running really quickly. Awesome, and back to you, Lara.
So where are we? Where you can find us? This is where we think a relevant topic as well to cover today if you have interesting to know more. So we are available for all Nestlé brands to reuse the component or the smart paragraph as Ashley took us through. So the image that you can see in the screen is really related to the Nestlé global repository of components. And aside from that, of course, we're able to reach on Perrier.com, as the demo that you saw, 57K visitors per month. And actually, I believe we are somewhere else, also in the word of mouth of our brand managers.
Hi everyone, Christy here from Nestle Waters North America, and I couldn't be more excited about our personalization engine. Personalization is important in media, but it's just as important when you get the consumer to your brand website. With the personalization engine, we can now set rules and determine what content is shown to which consumers. It's really important to, one, further personalization of the consumer journey, but also provide a meaningful connection to the brand. It also will hopefully help conversion rates.
There you go, folks. 3 presenters for the price of 2. But also, probably more interestingly, I guess, to many of our audience, is that this is also, since May, available on Drupal.org, currently with 128 websites using it. But obviously, we would love to see more, and we'd love to see your feedback. Which takes us swiftly on to moving up the maturity matrix. Here, we have already successfully built the MVP. We're in that walk space. We're now entering into the next phase of planned activity where we are looking at more plugins to move further into that run and fly space. We have a backlog for early 2021, which we will complete, and we will continue to contribute back to Drupal.org, not only for smart content paragraphs, but as you can see from the screenshot here, for other modules in the ecosystem that need to be patched and developed to help advance this. But what we really need is for you guys to contribute. So please search out the module, go and give it a try, put issues into the issue queue, tell us features you think are needed, or go and write those plugins for the segmentation system and help advance it as well. And with that, I guess it is a thank you from us. I know it's been very quick. It's a very small time frame to explain a very big program in. And looking at the poll, that thank you all of you that answered that. We actually have a very large tech audience. This was, I guess, aimed more at a business audience. So hopefully you found it interesting anyway. Anything you'd like to add there, Lara?
No, I'm seeing that we are receiving some questions, so I believe we can ping off some of them and try to respond. At least in the time frame that we have. The ones that we are not able to respond, we can connect after, and actually we can also. I will require your support in some of them. So we have one question. There is: Are there any issues with the caching or translation? Can you support me on this one, Ashley?
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of caching, because of the way the content is loaded to the page, there is performance degradation if you use it too much. We're looking to re-engineer this actually to use Ajax, but right now, all of the content is delivered to the page and it's using JavaScript to do the detection and to swap out the content. So there is no caching issues whatsoever. And I see there was questions also around CDN and varnish and whatnot. Yep. All of these things are running in front of the Nestlé stack, and we've seen no issues in that space so far. I also see a question here about how does smart content affect SEO. So far, we haven't seen any significant impact because that default content is what's rendered and cached at the first pass. So your SEO is based off your default content and then enhanced, as I said, with JavaScript as you move forward.
Another question that I'm seeing here, and this from Nick, how does it work with the layout builder?
So yes, layout builder, a very interesting topic at this time. being paragraphs, smart content paragraphs, it doesn't work with Layout Builder. However, smart content, that core module of the smart content ecosystem that we've looked to extend, is originally designed for blocks, and so that should work with Layout Builder very well. It's not something we've tried, and certainly Smart Segments works with Smart Blocks as well. So I would think hopefully very well.
And we have here one that I believe you already mentioned, the SEO part, but I think it's also a little bit more deep because it's from Sara Pizarro. How does the smart content segmentation affect SEO, and do they count as hiding content? So as hidden content, no, it doesn't count as hidden content. Could we talk a bit about the segmentation since we have a few minutes? Ashley, I believe you covered in the demo, but could you recap that part?
So we have all of 5 seconds before I think someone's going to shout at us, but the segmentation is merely a list of rules, and it is that smart paragraph or smart blocks if you're using Layout Builder that handles display of your content. And that whilst it is all shown, we've not seen any detrimental impact to SEO at all. And as I say, default content is what your SEO should be seeing, and you should bypass caching with the JavaScript doing that swap out for you.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. I believe we are running out of time. Perina, I don't know if you want to introduce.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ashley and Lara, for such an interesting presentation. So yeah, we're gonna start with the second session for this time slot. So I'm gonna welcome Pratik and Akanksha.
We will drop off. Thank you very much,
Okay,
everybody.
thank you
Please remember
very
to
much,
contribute.
everyone, for your time, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.